Okay, so welcome everyone to DCSAFF 2022. You know,
Can you come, Ashish?
good movies touch us in different ways. Sometimes it's because of a very powerful message they have. There could be other times that, it evokes a strong emotion in us, or sometimes we see part of ourselves or part of something we know in that movie. Well, today we have a special treat for you. We've got 4 extremely talented people who've brought us just such a movie. I'd like to welcome the team of Danny Goes Aum, the writer, director, and producer, Sandeep Mohan. Welcome. We've got Danny, Andrew Sloman, and we're going to hear about how multifaceted they are. Welcome, Andrew.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
Marianne Borgo, thank you so much.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Bonjour. And Anjali Patil, who, all these people have got this long list of credits. We're going to learn something about them and learn about the movie. So first of all, let's get right into things. I love the title, Sandeep. This Danny Goes Aum, and that's not the hello, let's go Aum. This is the Aum. So tell us, without giving the whole story away, give us, our viewers, an idea of what Danny Goes Aum is all about and what brought you to this story.
Yeah, I think thank you, Shirish, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you, Manoj and Geeta Manoj, also for inviting us to this festival. Thanks to my wonderful teammates. Good to see you all boxed in. Normally, I've seen you in, in real avatars. But yeah, frankly, Danny Goes Aum, this, as you mentioned, I should mention it, that it's my 5th feature film as a writer-director. This one, I produced it myself too. Well, as a title, Danny Goes Aum is apt. If you've seen the movie and once the audience sees the movie on the 6th, they would understand why it is called that way. Maybe also, I think I've got this fascination for interesting titles, for all my films because of my advertising, copywriting background, maybe long back. I like to play with words. But yeah, I think it's the story of Danny, a British guy who is a burned out video editor, and he travels to the same beach in Goa where his hippie parents had met back in the 60s, 70s. Post summer of 67, his parents had come down there. The film is in English with a very Indian heart, meant for the global audience. And we had a screening in Berlin in the Indo-German Film Week. It was received very well by the German audience. Extremely excited to know how the Washington, D.C. audience takes to it, So I could talk more about the movie once the movie is seen. And for the time being, yeah, this is what it is.
Wonderful. This is not the first time we've had the pleasure of having you over at DCSAFF. Well, in past years, we had Nirmalanand Papi out here. So if I think about all your movies, this element of real people connecting with real things, Nirmalanand Papi, Sri Lancer, Ola Gwenki, it's all about not having to have the traditional commercial path, but connecting with people in some way or other. And that extends, I think, beyond just your filmmaking. If I look at what you've done with the great Indian traveling cinema, distributing model, making sure you're reaching all kinds of people. You go around the country with a projector. It makes me think of Badal Sarkar and his street theater, right? Or a tradition that's been there in India forever. How do you connect with the audience, bring the art to the people? What drives you? You have this, it looks like you have this talent for connecting with people. What makes you want to be this filmmaker? What message is it that you're trying to bring forward? What do you do? What drives? What's your passion?
Oh, wow. That's a lot of things, frankly, I just stay very true to myself. The way I am is how I make my films, and I always believe my films have an audience too, because it's only when you travel and screen it, I realize that I'm able to connect with my audience and know exactly how they reacting to the things I've written and made. Because living in Bombay, being an independent filmmaker for the last 12 years, maybe before that, I was, of course, trying how to make films. I figured that, here it's a very difficult ball game to survive as an independent filmmaker. You're constantly told that you don't have an audience for your movies. So move into the commercial space, which I don't want to. So be it the movies, be it, you spoke about it being real, because I shoot in real locations, and from start to finish, I try to make it consistent. So it's a real script, real locations, and overall feel is real. Even the distribution model is, I try to keep it real, because the movies are meant to be seen by real people, not just film people or film festival people. So I try to stay true, like I said in the beginning, and I try to make my own audience with my movies. It doesn't matter if somebody doesn't buy my films. If they buy it, lovely. If they don't buy it, I will create my audience. Just a small addition to what you said, I traveled with my projector. I even came to the US, and 10 cities in the US I did screenings for my film called Ola Venki in 2014. So Singapore also I travel. So wherever they have alternative spaces, I go and screen. And with Danny Goes Aum also post Washington, DC, this festival, DCSAFF, in Jan, Feb, March, I intend to come to US and travel around and screen wherever I can screen. If small theaters fit in my budget, yes. If not, maybe alternative spaces. So would love all your help in that too.
Oh, we would love that. We would love that.
I think a point that you made that I thought was interesting, I think I'd like to ask all of you as well, is that you talked about you don't care if the film gets sold, and I feel like, or is shown, or people buy it or come to see it. And I think that that's something as an artist we all relate to. As actors, as producers, this is something you do for the love of it. And at least what I saw in this film is we see a video editor who is burnt out and people aren't responding to his drafts. And I'm sure as writer, you go through, and as actors, we go through so many different iterations that may not be accepted by either a casting director or a producer. And I think that struggle was something that is almost so relatable to artists in general. And I wanted to hear about each of your experiences with that, because this whole industry can be dealing with different types of rejection. And I saw very much that in the film, and I think very specific to artists as well, you can appreciate how hard this path is and this journey is. And I'd love to hear about that, each of your experiences with that.
Somebody else want to start, or you want me to start?
Anybody feel free to jump in. Since we heard from you, let's start with Andrew, and we'll work our way backwards.
Yeah, sure. Well, as an artist and a musician, I've been doing music since my early 20s. So, there were many offers in the beginning from record companies that wanted to particularly change me into very much a pop artist. But things that I turned down to very much keep to my own folk roots. But then in my kind of mid to late 20s, it felt like all these things that I turned down just kind of dissipated, and then I was just left just only being true to myself, but then how I was gonna carve my way out as a folk artist, solo artist in the UK, and then I went to America as well. It was very much just doing it all DIY, recording things myself, building up my own studio equipment, and keeping very much to that freelance, completely my own artist way of doing things. And when you struggle a bit financially, you wonder whether you should have taken opportunities in the past. But I just always felt like it was in a way selling out to like just being true to my own folk roots, which is kind of what I've always stuck with. So.
And we see some of that in the film, being able to relate to that, I'm sure, for you.
Yeah, exactly. So Danny was very much a character I could relate to in many aspects.
What about you, Anjali? Yeah.
I don't want to give away too much about what happens. So
No, I would just like to continue what Andrew said. It's been 10 years. Yesterday someone was talking, and I was preparing this video pitch, because now I started writing and producing and got into directing things. One of my documentaries also screening at the festival. So all these things, it's been 10 years, me as an actor, and like you come to a point where you feel that, oh, you wanted to keep something very pure. You wanted to keep the art in the forefront, and the process in the forefront, but you get into these doubts and dilemmas that was it like the right choice, and you see the commercial market and the games of numbers, and you keep questioning the quality of the life or the art you create, or the quantity. So I'm still struggling with it, but the more I am growing old, the more I'm growing up as an artist. I feel that some people are frequency holders, even in the world of art. So I feel that people who tend to do things with their pace, I'm not saying that, commercial people are bad, and the people who try to, do, like Sandeep is a great inspiration. The way he is dealing with the cinema industry and the mafia of it is a very gentle and a very artistic way of creating his own audience. And I call people like Sandeep as frequency holders, who kind of give you courage to keep up doing what you do with authenticity, with honesty, and we'll see what happens.
No, I love that. And Marianne, you've had experience in this in many different films. And
Yes,
I think
yes.
it from the French lens, working in India, and I'm curious to see from that lens as well, in a different market entirely as well. What has that been like?
Well, I mean, what was very exciting, I already worked with Sandeep many years ago in his first movie, Love Wrinkle Free. And for me, Sandeep is like François Truffaut, he's the Indian François Truffaut, because he's writing beautifully his own scripts. And he has the courage to make it without the commercial help, and without thinking, okay, I'm going to sell this to such platform and all that. So obviously, when you're an artist and you're an actor and a singer like Andrew and all that, it's a wonderful adventure to say yes to Sandeep and, to go on his boat and to go sailing. I mean, it is a wonderful director. Disappear. So for me, and especially, at my age, you're only given parts, boring parts, if you are not a major star. You just play the old grandmother, which, nothing much to do. So suddenly to be given an extravagant, funny lady, it was very exciting. So thank you so much, Sandeep. And of course, I had great joy acting with Andrew, not with Angela, you will see, but with Andrew. And that was just a magic memory. And also, to have a very small team. The crew was excellent. You will see when you will see the movie. But when you have just one cameraman, one sound recordist, and one assistant, and you do a film with such a small family, so, suddenly the actor is completely with the camera and completely with the director. It's a magic experience, and I wish it to all actors.
Would you say it's different for the French market or versus indie filmmaking? Do you think the parts are specific?
Well, I've worked
a
lot in England, I've worked in America as well, I've worked in France, in Germany. And of course, as soon as it's a commercial film, you have a big team and you are just one of them. But when it's a very, very small team, you feel even more special, and actors love to be loved. So it was wonderful.
And what about you, Sandeep? What is this journey for you?
Yeah, I think they've been very nice and kind. I'm not like this on the shoot, and I'm a different kind of an animal, So strange guy, but I'm normally calm. But ever since producing it myself, it was very difficult. Like what Marianne and Anjali and Andrew said, I'd like to add that this movie was shot by a crew of 5 people, including me, the whole feature, and shot totally guerrilla without any permission and all those things. So it was wonderful. It was challenging. In hindsight, it was it's one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. To pull off such things, it feels like a massive trek you are taking. About to start 2 years back, and now when I look back, I really don't know how it got completed because it looked stupid. Maybe the COVID made me do it because during lockdown I was totally locked in, hippie kind of guy, nomadic spirit within me. You put me in a jail in a house, I write a movie about freedom or go to Goa at the first available opportunity. So shot a movie with beautiful songs with Andrew, then Anjali got involved. Marianne, of course, is a friend of mine, and Eunice and Divya and Avinash also, the other actors. And of course, my camera person, Subhash and Arjun. So yes, I mean, looking back, I would say that's me. I can hear myself. That's been happening in my head over a period of time. Yeah. So this movie, in some ways, a little bit personal. Also, at some level, it's also about all these editors and post-production people I've seen in my life who are constantly in dark rooms and sitting and never see sunlight. So for me, that line "Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya," from darkness towards light, in some ways, at some way, the structure of the movie. And I kept it simple. Like I said, took a small bank loan and made this movie. I'm not a very rich guy, so. But I had to do this movie. If this is the last movie I ever make, this would be the way I want to go, because I want people to understand me, not necessarily like me, but this is my process. This is what I do. And I'm sure a lot of people like me, like Andrew and a lot of other artists would relate to it, even the post-production people. And like you said, Chaaya, actors in every walk around the world, would understand what we are trying to say here. That do you want, I mean, I was forced to almost sell my soul post-COVID. When Nirmal Anand Ki Puppy couldn't get sold to an OTT platform, I'm still trying to sell it. So, I mean, I got a remake to write, and I said, should I do it for money or no? And then I said, no, let me make one more movie my way. And then, of course, I won't sell my soul. I might pick up another job if I cannot make one more movie. So this is the background of the movie. A lot of heart from all the people involved, including me. So that's. I hope it answers something, some question.
No,
Oh, wow.
does it, I think, you can think it answers it, at least to me too, in the way that it's told. I thought I paused. I don't know if I watched it this way. I paused every frame, and every frame is a photograph that you could post on Instagram, or like, I don't know if you saw from the coloring, like literally every frame is so beautifully shot, and the way that it's like organized, even between your discussions in the bedroom, or you guys are talking, or when Marianne's having lunch, and every single picture is a picture within itself that's standalone, so you could see different messages, right? If no, I think that's intentional.
I mean, see, frankly, everything. I mean, the idea when you write a script is, or when you make a movie like this, in natural light, and like I said, without permission and stuff, is to go with the flow, move, so that you don't get caught, when you're shooting a movie. But at the same time, there is, it's organized. Like I said, it's a 5th film, so I understand the craziness I'm doing. There's a structure to my craziness. I know what I want. I don't cover all angles. I just take what I want for the edit and move on. Sometimes, it can be confusing for people watching it, but I know my edit. I just go with it, and all my team members, even the post-production team members, the editor, Pavan Bhatt, I mean, Abhilash, VFX, grading. You spoke about the look, Subhash Maskar, the cameraman, of course, a grading, Himanshu Kamble, the guy who, we all worked very hard to make it look interesting. I'm missing out some people. Of course, Vivek Philip on the background score, along with Andrew's songs. He did magic on the background score, along with Andrew. So many, Pani Grahi on the sound design and the mix, Anish. I don't want to miss anybody because it's a small team. I want to say thank you to all of them, because Arjun, Ved Prakash Dubey. It's just my way of saying big thank you. If this is the last film, big thank you to everybody who's been involved in this movie, and big thank you to DCSAFF also, because you guys are actually promoting a micro budget movie shot by 5-member crew, Guerrilla, as a closing night movie, which is hats off to the festival more than to us, so that you really appreciate and understand what goes into making an independent film in today's times, around the world. Because, unless you have heard a big star cast, and our biggest star cast, beyond, I should say, is, of course, we have Anjali, Marianne, Andrew, But for me, the biggest superstar in the movie is Goa, the beach. So Gonda,
Yes.
is a beach, and because yeah, I can keep going and talking like this forever, but I'm sure you should ask other people.
Yes, we're just going to bring us to our next question. Go ahead, Dad.
So, a couple of things you said out there, Sandeep. One of the things you said, you talked about the challenges that people in the film industry, actors, editors, all the people go through in trying to stay true to themselves. And certainly Chaaya, you can relate. Chaaya is an actress, a journalist, and she's, for the last number of years, she's held her own out there trying to find herself. She does commercials, but all of that. Watching this, I think you've represented so many different perspectives as well. It's not just like the Dannys who are trying to find themselves, struggling to stay true to themselves, but everyone's on a path. And I'm going to turn to your past and get some of these perspectives. Marianne,
Yes.
you're on a journey, right? You're your person. You've come to a very pivotal, or Lucy. Did I get Lucy right? As you tell the Danny. Tell us a little bit about your character and what is that journey she is on? And how did you put yourself into Lucy's character?
Well, it was quite easy because as an actress, at a certain age, as I said earlier, you feel frustrated not to be given the part you should do, So I became myself a hippie. And 6 months a year, I live in India as a hippie. So I still work a lot. I've just done 3 films this year in France. But from time to time, I just need to be a normal person. So it was easy for me to get into Sandeep's character because that's the kind of life I have.
Wonderful. And for our viewers, Marianne is very modest. Not only does she have this background, but she's got an impressive career from 1968. She's done movies, she's done theater, she's done dubbing. Some of our audience, the names you might relate to very quickly. Ivory's The Divorce. She's been in The Bourne Identity. Yeah, you've done dubbing for the Transformers series. It's just incredible.
Yes.
This whole cast is like that. Speaking of which, I was talking to Anjali prior to this session, and I had the first question I had for her is, Anjali, is there any language you don't speak? She's done movies in Kannada, Telugu, Malayalam, Tamil, Marathi, Hindi, English, even Sinhalese. And as if that's not enough, there's Gondi, like a little dialect, little language from Madhya Pradesh. Anjali, you represent a very different kind of character. No name, it's the Indian girl. Tell us about that character. What journey is she on? She's a...
Yeah,
Sure.
I think I would just begin from like how the film happened to me. I saw Sri Lancer, and Sandeep's first film, not the first, the second, Hola Venki. Oh no, The Love Wrinkle Free, and Delhi in a Day, which was my first film.
Yes.
They kind of started together their festival journey, and that's how we met at Mami Film Festival in 2011. And of course, we kept checking on each other's career, what we all were doing. And I watched Sri Lancer during the pandemic, and I was just so happy after watching the film. It really, it's a beautiful film. I called him, and he was in Goa. He was writing Danny Goes Aum. And I was like, Sandeep, please let me know if I, if I can be part of your film. And he was like, there is a role, but I'm not sure, but there is a role. And I was like, tell me about it. And that's how this Indian mystery girl happened. Sandeep's process is very particular about he literally would tell you exactly what your character is doing in the film in relationship to the other characters. So I had no idea about what happens to Danny before. Literally nothing. I just went there and there is this crew of 4 or 5 people, and all of them are like sitting in a shack on different chairs facing the ocean. And I was like, oh, cool. Okay. So it was quite easy to get into this Indian mystery girl because I tried to live pretty nomadic in general, as Marianne was saying, that you live a very city life, you work a lot, you get in and out of characters, and then you just want to be zero. You want to be nobody. And Goa is the place where you can be nobody. Every day you can wake up and you can choose a profession and you can be anyone for that day. So that's something that I was, it was like an instant magnet for me. That's sort of a life that I have been finding and trying to live. So this girl was the only part which was little difficult or different than Anjali was that the Indian mystery girl is, going to go on to some other future. Like she's okay. I'm not talking anything more because like don't say anything more. So that's something which is different than the mystery girl and Anjali. But apart from that, a lot of similarities, and it was quite easy. Goa does the job, half of the job.
Wonderful.
Can I add something, please?
Yes.
Because Anjali said that it's quite unusual when you don't receive the full script. And Sandeep is a bit like Claude Lelouch. He's going to give you day by day what you are going to do. But I never had the whole script. I just saw it for the first time a few weeks ago, and I discovered the whole story. So it's quite exciting not to know what's going to happen, because then you are just your own character. And in fact, it's very good not to know the story when you are the actress.
I love that technique. So probably helps you get even more into the character, because you're seeing right from that viewpoint, and then at the end everything kind of comes together. Sandeep, great technique. Andrew, now, you've, like the rest of this cast, you're incredibly talented and versatile. You've done the music for a number of Sandeep's films. You've got La Rêve, your albums come out. I've seen some of the movie videos you've made, but I take it is this the first time you've acted in a feature?
Yeah, this is the first time that I've had a role in a feature film. I've done a few TV dramas here in Japan.
Okay.
But they're just like kind of one-day dramas where it's kind of a reenactment drama where we kind of get a rough script and we're more or less improvising, and then they dub it over the top in Japanese. So literally the last time I learned a script, I was 10 years old, being the lion in the Wizard of Oz for a school play. So it was quite something. I mean, I've had a good relationship with Sandeep over the years. And I just have to mention, actually, I mean, the reason why we know each other, and the reason why I met Marianne before, and the reason why I met Vivek, who did the music before, is there was a beautiful lady who I met on my second day in Goa 12 years ago, when I literally had just arrived there to escape myself. And her name is Beulah, and she actually plays the mother in Namil and Anki Puppy. And she is the lady that introduced me to Sandeep, and how I actually ended up doing some of the songs on Sandeep's film Sri Lanka. So yeah, I mean, it's amazing how we've actually been pulled all together through Goa and through some beautiful souls in Goa. So Yeah, but to answer your question, yeah, this is the first time that I've ever been in a movie, let alone be the lead part in a movie. So I was literally on the phone, FaceTiming my stepmom every night, running lines, knowing how talented all the rest of the cast and crew were, not wanting to let anyone down and be completely on top of it. So I was literally having a dinner as quick as I could, and then just going straight back to my room, running lines over FaceTime with my stepmom. So yeah, it was a challenge, but I absolutely loved every minute of it. I really did.
You killed it. Without knowing your background, or I watched the movie, I thought this guy's been doing this for a while.
And I
thanks.
think it's important to note that this guerrilla filmmaking style for actors specifically, and not having the full script, not having your full lines, having a background in improv is super important for your skill set and your toolbox to have. Because if you can't improv, if this is not your skill set, may not be something that you're able to do. So having this rawness, this realness is something that I found in each of your performances, the openness to be able to have it. And having someone to run lines with is actually excellent advice for upcoming people who want to get in the industry. I'd love to hear if you guys have one or two pieces of advice, one or two words for people who want to join either as a filmmaker, writer, or actor, what they would be, or musician.
Oh, can I correct something?
Sure.
It was not improvisation, because Sandeep is a writer and he has written every single line of any character.
Right.
What was improvisation? It was the way we were acting together, but the lines were totally fully scripted. And it's the reason I admire, once again, Sandeep so much. It's because he let it go, but he has worked every single camera shot before, and he knows exactly what he's going to do. But he gives the freedom to the actors to imagine that they are doing something. But, we are like wild horses, but he's there pulling the reins.
So I think that's a good distinction to make. And I guess for the US audience and the US training background, the word improv isn't necessarily your dialogue, but it is with your acting and scenarios. So good clarification.
Sorry.
No,
it's
not at all.
It's not a problem at all. I think that's a good distinction to make because every market is different. So I think that is good for the audience watching it for DCSAFF. When we speak about improv, it is your reaction to situations, especially guerrilla filmmaking without permits. You're going to you'll have to have that freedom.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it.
Go ahead.
No. Just as an actor, Chaaya, you really made a really good point that as a, you need to have the skill set. And when you're making something like this, for me, the sole reason to be part of Sandeep's film was just to experience this, because you get to work into a crew which is like 200 people, 300 people, and you cut after every 2 lines, and it's all really nicely done, and you get lazy. You get so lazy with your craft that you need to be pushed. Like, you need to challenge your craft. You need to challenge and see the limitation of your skill set. And I was scared. Every day I would be like, oh my God. And he's very particular about his lines. So as Marianne said, that whatever that we said, he knows what he wants. And at the same time, he's particular. It's a very fine balance of control and freedom. So for me, I think the locations, the timings, the way he planned the shoot, everything just kind of challenged me to just become like a better actor. I know that I can deal with a lot of different things now in a more controlled scenario, when I know that I can do a film like Sandeep's film. So it was a great experience, and for the actors or directors, that's what I mean, talk to him, talk to Sandeep, get in touch with him, get his master classes, and start making your films, because that's the only way.
Sending my bank account details after this.
Yes.
So hey, our viewers, you've seen how the energy, the excitement this cast had and working together with Sandeep. Just imagine what it's going to be like for you when you actually watch this movie during the festival and outside. We'll be posting this this review on the social media platforms. Do look at it, share with, it with your friends, get some of the background. So when you actually go for the festival, you're going to see additional nuances. We've got an incredibly talented staff, cast, director, writer, producer. And Sandeep, one of the things you mentioned before I think is really important. One of the things to acknowledge out here is what DCSAFF brings to this community. They've started, Manoj and Geeta have been doing this for about 12 years, maybe more. And there's a time when there's no OTT, right? Where movies like this had nowhere else to actually go, and they gave them a platform. They have an incredible diversity of voices that come out. Enjoy them, guys. I've been associated with them the last 8 years on the jury, serving in different things. And it's really gratifying to see what comes out to this community through DCSAFF. And I'd be very remiss if I didn't recognize the sponsors who also go to make something like this happen. Beyond the sponsors, the organizers, they're all volunteers. There's a nonprofit, and bringing it all together is countless hours and hours and hours of work. But the most important people of all are you, the audience. Because at the end, every artist wants to make that connection. And I encourage you all to come see this movie, enjoy it like I did. I've watched it a couple of times now, and I'll watch it more. See all the different aspects. I'm sure you're gonna enjoy it. All of you guys, our panelists, Sandeep, Marianne, Andrew, Anjali, keep listening to your own drum, because those drums, there's a lot of us who hear that drum too, and it's so rewarding to see the kind of work you do.
And
Thank
please
you
engage on
again.
social as well. That's one thing. Hashtag DCSAFF, engage with the artists, follow their hashtags and their social media, and talk about the film. Join the conversation and start a conversation. One reminder.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you very much again, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
It was
you so
wonderful.
much.
Thank you so much for having
Thanks
us.
so much. Yeah. Thanks a lot. And Anjali from our team would be there. Eunice will be there to represent Danny Goes Aum during the festival in person. And we might be there on virtual Q&A maybe.
We'd love that. Okay, guys. I will see you guys there. DCSAFF 2022, November 4th through the 6th. Actually, even November 3rd, we're having a discussion with Dipti Noel. Let's see you guys out there. Do not miss Danny Goes Aum. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.